Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you get your questions in and we give you our best efforts at an answer. And that format's been running for a lot of episodes now. And it's a popular one. So let's continue that roadshow and remind you how you can get involved and get your very own question answered.
Yep, oh so simple. Give us a call on 013 808 00035 or go to propertyhub.net/ask. Just come up with your question, send it over, and you'll soon have your answer.
Okay, so let's listen to our first call in from David.
Hi, Rob and Rob. It's David from Northampton here. I love your show. I listen to you every Tuesday and Thursday on my way to work, and I really appreciate all the insightful and original content you guys put out there. I've got a question about negative cash flow. My wife and I have owned a terraced house in East London for a number of years. The rental yield isn't the best, but it's in our portfolio for capital appreciation. And as interest rates have been so low for the last few years, we've been able to make a good rental income from it too. The issue we have is that in a few months' time, our current mortgage deal comes to an end. And to refinance, we're going to be looking at a rate that will effectively triple our monthly interest payments. The rental income that we're achieving is already in line with the market in the area, so even if we can make another small increase, our rental income is no longer going to cover our outgoings, which means we're going to move from a position of a healthy positive cash flow to a negative cash flow each month. Now, our current thinking is to stick with it anyway, given that capital appreciation in the longer term is likely to outweigh the cash flow issues in the shorter term. But we have also given some thought to selling the property, as if the market does go into reverse for an extended period, we're going to be doubling down on our losses. So I'd be really interested in your perspective and hearing if there's anything else we should bear in mind to help us make an informed decision. Thanks very much.
Thank you, David. Really good question. Now, in my portfolio, I've actually got a property in the same situation. And the answer for me is I'm just happy to keep it for now because of the wider portfolio. Because I've got a larger portfolio, one property being slightly negative doesn't really concern me too much. So if you have a portfolio and it's just one property, then you might be inclined to just sit with it and accept it. But from the question you've asked, it doesn't suggest that you do have a bigger portfolio. So the portfolio is this property, and it's probably worth a bit as well, being in East London. So what should you do? Well, the first thing to say before I get any further is you might struggle to get a new mortgage. And that's because when you go for your mortgage, there'll be a stress test and they'll look at the rent as part of that stress test and they won't accept a property that is in the negative. So you might have to go on the standard variable rate of your current product. So if it's a fixed amount right now, you'll be able to see what amount it's going to. And you may be forced to stay in that product. Now, a way of addressing that is to put more money into the property so it'll pass the stress test and therefore generate a profit again. And if you have the ability to do that, you might want to consider it. But let's just assume you can sort your mortgage challenges out. And let's just deal with the fact that you have a property that is losing money every month, because it's not only you who are going to be in this boat right now, there'll be others. As I've said, if it's in a portfolio, I would be able to run with it. If it's only going to make a small loss, so we're talking pounds each month, then again, if you like the property, it's done well for you, doesn't cause you too much issue, then you can probably take the view, well, I can live with it losing a very small amount each month for the short term, because I know that rents are going up pretty much everywhere at the moment. At some point, the rents will go up enough to make a profit again. And the other thing to take into consideration is the long-term outlook for mortgages is probably more positive than it is right now than negative, although I can't make you any promises on either of those. But that's my point of view of what will play out. Higher rents and better mortgage products. So if you can live with it in the short term and it's only a small loss, then fine. But if you are going to make a big loss every month, and this is the only property in your portfolio, then I think you have a decision to make. Because you may then consider selling the property and using the funds that you have to deploy in areas that will give you a better return, but hopefully without sacrificing the capital growth elements as well. Rob and I have talked extensively about areas that we're really excited about right now as investment opportunities. And you could start to research one or two of those areas and decide that actually I'm going to take my gains from this property and move it into a new portfolio somewhere else. So it really will depend on your exact scenario. And hopefully I've covered all the options there so you can make a decision based on your exact situation. So best of luck, David. You're definitely going to have to make some decisions and take some action. And it's up to you what decisions and action you do make.
Okay, our next question is from Tom.
Hi, Rob and Rob. Tom calling here with hopefully a quick question for you to give me some advice. I'm currently in the middle of purchasing a property that will hopefully go through very soon. For example's sake, I'm spending around £40,000 on the property to acquire it. I actually have about £60,000 available, and obviously I'm going to be left with £20,000 at the end of this sale. It will take me around 18 months to 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, to save up enough money for another deposit. So I wonder, what would you do with that £20,000 while you're waiting to gain enough money for another deposit? We know that obviously in the bank, money is devaluing with inflation, thanks to Rob's wonderful book. And I just wondered, what would you do with it? Lots of people say that you should put money into the stock market for at least 3 years and have a very long-term goal. So what would you do if you have a shorter amount of time than that to get your money working for you while you build up that deposit again? Thanks very much. Keep up the amazing work.
Tom, really good question. And you're right. The trouble with making a stock market investment is that you just don't know what's going to happen to the value of it over 18 months. It's possible that the market will rise and so you'll do really well, but it's also possible that it won't. And then, of course, your money's not going to be stuck in there, but you might want to wait for the market to recover before you pull it back out again, which will put your property plans on hold. And there are lots of situations where you just don't want to have that kind of volatility. And that's why we designed our app portfolio in the way that we did, because we know that a lot of people want to get exposure to something solid, in this case property, without the value of it jumping around all over the place. But at the moment, cash is actually a better option than it has been for a long time. Because you are completely correct, as you would be if you read my book, that the rate of inflation is higher than the rate you're getting in your bank account. Therefore, your money is losing value. But the rate of inflation is coming down. Not as quickly as the Bank of England would like it to, but it is coming down and will come down further. So there may even be a point, shocking as it sounds, for the first time in 15 years, where you're actually gaining purchasing power in the bank. Far from guaranteed, but possible. But at least the difference, the rate at which your money is being eroded, is going to be slower than it has been in the past. And you've also, in your favour, got the fact that depending on where you're buying, property prices aren't going bonkers right now. So obviously no one knows what's going to happen in the future, but you could probably say that over the next 12 months, it's unlikely that property prices are going to go up that much in most parts of the country. So if you're earning some kind of return on your cash and the property that you're targeting to buy is only going up by that much or less, then actually you're not losing out. So I think, Tom, you're aware of all the right issues. There are various options. None of them are perfect, but at least if you do decide to stick in cash, you're going to be taking less pain than you would have been for the last few years.
So thank you for your questions and thank you for listening. We'll be back on Thursday with the Property Podcast and, of course, back next week with Ask Rob and Rob. So until then, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.